What do you reckon about this? There are calls for cheap alcohol to be banned in a bid to curb heavy drinking. The Foundation for Alcohol Research and Education wants the federal government to set a minimum price on alcohol, claiming this will stop people from binge drinking. But those opposed to the plan say it would actually hit low-income Australians the hardest, and it could turn people onto more dangerous drugs. The Liberal Senator James Paterson has got some firm views on this. He's written about it for the Daily Telegraph today, and he's on the line. James Paterson, good afternoon.
Thank you for having me, Ben.
The argument from the Foundation for Alcohol Research and Education, if you set a minimum price for alcohol and you said, OK, you can't go below that level, then people would not drink as much. What do you say?
Well, there's a couple of problems with their argument. Number one, Ben, we know that wealthy people spend more on alcohol than poor people. People on high incomes are more likely to binge drink than people on low incomes, and people who are alcoholics and are addicted to alcohol are not going to be discouraged by a increase in the price of cheap alcohol. They're alcoholics, they've got a medical problem, they need help dealing with it. What this will do is will punish people who are on low incomes, who have no problems with alcohol, who can drink responsibly, but need to do so affordably because they don't have high incomes. That's the main victims of this policy, and it won't even help to address the problem that they say they want it to help.
OK, look, I'm not a fan of the idea either, but just let me put this to you. Didn't we see with cigarettes that when the price went up, smoking went down?
Well, that's because for a couple of reasons. One, cigarettes were massively increased in price, up to a factor of many, many times their original price. So if we're going to follow the lead of cigarettes, you're going to have to seriously increase the price of alcohol, and no one actually openly argues that. They might secretly believe it. What they're arguing is a modest increase in what are low-price drinks at the moment. So you can't expect to see that same response. The second thing is that the fall in cigarette smoking came about as a part of a much better and wider community understanding about the health costs of smoking and how dangerous they are. I mean, everybody knows that even one cigarette can do you damage, but one beer or one woody or one glass of wine doesn't do you damage. It can be quite healthy as part of a balanced diet.
And apart from your concern about low-income Australians being hardest hit, you're also concerned about people thinking, OK, well, if they're too expensive, if you did go and say, all right, well, let's make them as expensive as cigarettes, then people will turn to hard drugs.
That's right. I mean, we saw, Ben, a couple of years ago when the Rudd government introduced the Alcopops tax on ready-to-drink pre-mixed spirits, that we saw young people substituting particularly to other products. So instead of buying a pre-mixed drink, they went and bought hard vodka and mixed it themselves, and we believe some of them went and just bought drugs. That is obviously a much worse outcome than having something that was safely pre-mixed and pre-packaged and sold to them.
Good man, James. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
James Paterson, the Liberal Senator, what do you make of the calls for cheap alcohol to be banned? Well, there's not that much cheap alcohol out there in the first place, is there? I don't think there's too much of it out there that's all that cheap. Look, I'm sure you can buy wine in a box, and I'm sure you can pick them up at a cheap price, but is price really the biggest factor when it comes to our drinking habits? I'm not sure it is. I don't think that everyone's making their decision to drink because of it being cheap.